John Gibbons, it is exceptionally exciting stuff. It's quite the statement of intent from Liverpool. It's also quite the statement of intent from Florian Wirtz. He could have an easy life in Bayern Munich. We know that Bayern tend to win the German league, but it feels as though he wants to come and take a risk and play for the best football team in the world.
Yeah, good on him. It did feel like, going to Bayern, like you say, like there's the bigger challenges out there, but then so many players do it, don't they? Bayern Munich hoover up the best players in Germany. It's what they do. It's how they've managed to stay ahead all these years. And so you're like, well, maybe this is going to be another one that they get, but it's all appearing not. It's been interesting, for a couple of days now. There's been stuff dripping out of Bayern, from the likes of Christian Falk, who's our friend, who's obviously very well connected there, who just kind of suggesting that they were starting to get a little bit nervous about it and a little bit worried. And then the stuff over the last hour suggests that, it's not just a chance they'll go to Liverpool, but Liverpool have actually gotten ahead, and it looks like the most likely destination now that he wants to go to is Liverpool. So, yeah, like you say, good on him. He could have took the easy option, but he doesn't want to. Great on the club for going out and trying to get him. And they've obviously put some charm offensive together, haven't they? And really sold him on the club, really sold him, I would imagine, very much so on how they want to use him and what they want to do in their plan for him. And there's been a little bit on that as well. He's been really impressed with how... Arne Slot's talked about how he wants to use him, and they'll be thinking obviously a lot about this move. And it's not just about, we'd love to say, oh yeah, it's all Liverpool and he just wants to play in front of the fantastic fan base that includes us three. And I'm sure that is...
I think we're middling, I'll be honest, John.
Well, we're also Liverpool and Jerry. No, listen, I'm sure that is the case. Listen, I'm sure that when Arne Slot was talking recently about, this idea of, using the stuff after Spurs to really sell the club, I think this is the kind of thing that he was talking about, and maybe he'd already used it with Florian. I don't know, but so I think the stuff does help. But I'm sure it's he can go anywhere, and it'll be the plan for him, I think, and how he sees himself at Liverpool, which is sold it to him. So fair play to them, because it is so... Yeah, I think he's an absolute superstar. Honestly, I think he's an absolute superstar. I mentioned it the other day when we were talking about, I was joking, saying like last year on the transfer committee, I persuaded everyone to spunk all our money on Florian Wirtz because I just thought he was sort of that good. That was 21. His numbers are just unbelievable. His impact on games, and at the age he is, he can go to another level. I think he can be the best player in the world. Honestly, I do. I think he can be. And, there's a fella who's on the way out. He's looking for a Ballon d'Or, but I think this guy's, more likely to win one over the next sort of 2 or 3 years. And the fact that he thinks he can do that at Liverpool is very nice indeed.
There is, as part of that, I think, the thing with the Bayern thing that I never entirely made sense to me was the other players Bayern have got.
Yeah.
And that's why it was always almost like, well, it's like we're Bayern Munich, and what we do is we buy the best player that's going in Germany every year. That's one of the things that we do. That's if there's a great player that's there, he ends up playing for Bayern Munich, because that's what's the point of being Bayern Munich otherwise. It seems really easy to me to imagine at the very least 2 places where Florian Wirtz can end up playing for Liverpool, and I suspect it may well be both. I think there can be real clarity in how you could, as Arne Slot, and I'm sure he's been, he knows so much about football. I'm sure he's got a real sense of clarity anyway at the best of times, Phil. But it also to me feels like a pretty straightforward sentence in that you can play there or there, and I've just sort of gestured in a way to 9 or 10. You can play there or there, and you'll make us much better. And it's and you'll play with these other players. They're already really good players, but you'll take us from here to here, and that to me is, it helps to have it makes it more straightforward to have clarity of message when the message already has a fair bit of clarity in it in the first place.
Yeah, I look at the Bayern Munich from the Bayern Munich perspective, and you think about what their attackers they've got. I know they're obviously going to play a number of them, but they've got Elise and Musiala already. Him and Musiala, I don't think, are a million miles away as footballers.
Yeah.
And I think they both probably want to be the main man.
Yeah.
So how are Bayern Munich selling being the main man to someone which, for that amount of money, he should be your main man?
And there's also an argument Elise could be player of the year in the Bundesliga.
Yeah, absolutely. They have lots of good players in that position, and it's a bit like he's an extra part, and it sort of feels like, from Bayern Munich perspective, it's that thing where it's like, I tell you what, we'll weaken the opposition and we'll see what happens. I think it's really interesting that since this news is broken, they've immediately been linked with 2 players. And those 2 players are Rafa Leao and Kaoru Mitoma, who are both left wingers.
It would make much more sense, yeah.